What a fantastic welcome to the stream. Sorry about that. Yeah, let me flip things around here and make sure I've got everything in place. I don't have anything fucked up in the... Yeah, the stuff is a little bit in disarray over here, but we'll get that fixed. Okay. Let's get this. Let's get all this stuff rolling. Clean my screen. Man. Anyway. Let's see. What was, I had something I was going to say, but I forgot it. I guess it must not have been very important or I wouldn't have forgot it. Oh, I remember I'm radioactive. As a joke nobody remembers. I keep coming dangerously close to spilling my coffee. So let me move it over there. There we are. Toss that over there. And, okay. We'll go to the brush. So over the course of the past week, I've been thinking a lot about this thing, and it's like it's an issue that I have that I think needs to be covered, and that is turning silhouette into form and shape. For example, let's say that we've got a shape like this, okay? Just kind of a boxy shape. Well, if we want this shape to look like it has form, all you have to do is we just got to go, okay, do a nice light yellow, and we'll just go up here. There we go. Let's go back to 30. There we go. So here's our light right here. And with our light coming right here, we know that we're going to have the brightest light up here, up in this area. And let's go ahead and we'll pull the clip off of that. And in fact, we'll do an insulation layer there. So we'll go on this layer right here, and we'll just say that here's our brightest area of light. And then that light gets lower and lower as you go farther and farther down. And it's the same thing here, you know, and you just you get this less and less light. And as you get less and less light, what you're getting is you're getting more and more shade. So you've kind of got this, there's shading here until you get here, and there's no shading up there. And this is a bad example, but now we'll turn that off and we'll come down here to this layer. And what I have been looking at, what I have been thinking about is I've been going, you know what? Let's look at the whole magic wand thing. All right? So we'll come down here to, we'll go refer to all layers and we'll select there. There that is. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my airbrush. I'm going to make it fairly big. We're going to take it up to 170. And I'm going to go, okay, so down here, this area, this is shadow. This is shadow. Okay? And we're going to go, okay, what's in shadow here? And because I've got a very kind of wide brush, and because I'm working in a sort of semi-opaque way, all right, up here on this layer, I can just kind of swipe shadow into it where I think the shadow goes, and I could go, yeah, there's that. And as I get close to an edge, I can go, okay, there's an edge here. So I want that to be kind of sharper. And what I'm doing here is I'm kind of developing a shape for this. And if I lighten up a little bit, I can put some texture on here. I'm going to lighten up even more, and I can do some broader kind of value in that. And now we're giving some shape and form to this shape that we've put together here. And I can kind of lighten up here, and I can lighten up across here, and just kind of give this a better look and feel. And just if I go pure white up into here, then I can sort of drag this sense of what it is I want into the space. And I can give that kind of a sense of where the shadow is and where the light is. And I'm not very good at this, okay? But if I get rid of the flat color, you can see that I've sort of roughed some stuff in there. And if I just delete that and I just go, okay, you know what? Let's start again. Let's go very large brush, very dark, and we'll just go, okay, here's some shadow here on the outside, and I want the bottom to have a little bit of shadow on it right there. I want to kind of darken that up, and then over here, I want this to be kind of a broader shadow. Kind of a wider, longer thing, and I can sort of get the kind of shape that I want out of that. And I can shade that in a little bit. I can give some angle to this, and I can kind of come around and give this a sense of being solid. And then I can lighten up, and I can go, okay, let's use a slightly smaller brush, and we'll go slightly smaller and slightly lighter. And we'll just kind of give that a little bit of texture in there. And I've been kind of messing with this idea of putting these shadow bits in here. So if I go, okay, here we're going to have an actual crease in there, and I put that in, what I can do at this point is I can say, okay, using that, I can go, okay, that's not right. Using that, I can go, here's the edge of that crease. And I've got this hard line here because of that selection. And that'll give some real sense to that. And then you can do like this little cleft that's happening here. And you've got that hard edge. And you can do this sort of thing where you switch over to just a lasso and you just go, okay, here's the edge of a muscle group. Now, here's the edge of a muscle right there. All right. And that muscle is going to be shadowed over here on this side. So I just come over here to my airbrush, go down all the way to black, and I can shadow that in right there. And then from here, I can go, well, here's this other muscle right here. And we really need to be doing the... We need to be doing the... pure color. And we go down here to our flat color and we go... come down here to our flat color and we just go, okay. There's the flat line of it. And then we'll come up here to our layer where we're doing all of our shading. And here I'll just use the transparent brush to transparent that. And now, working from this, I can come over here and I can go, okay. Here's my soft airbrush. And here's the hard edge of that shadow on there. And here's that bit right there. And that's kind of giving a form to everything. And that's actually making things feel like they have some weight and some existence. And I can come back into my lasso and I'm kind of feeling like this sort of practice, like the way that I'm doing this feels like I'm actually getting some stuff done. That actually looks halfway decent. I'm going to switch up here to this, and I erase that, and I just go, okay. There's my soft airbrush. I do it in black, and I just go, there that is, and here, that's in the back, so that's kind of sitting back in there, and that's sitting back behind there, and that's sitting even farther back, and we don't have much of a highlight here. And I'm kind of getting this sense as I do this that that I'm building an actual form that has existence, you know? Let me just kind of clear that out a little bit. In fact, let's clear that out completely. There's soft airbrush. And now we just kind of shade that in, and we remember where we're putting our highlights and where we're putting our light direction and all of that. And I've just been kind of messing with this idea of using the lasso to build my areas. And I got some of this from Mark Burnett. I know Mark Burnett does this, but he does this with line art. And I'm just thinking of like doing it with the silhouette, like you, and I'm not very good at it, obviously. I'm not doing a great job here, but it is producing things that look solid, that look like they're actual real things. And it's fairly quick. If you just create that sort of area right there, if you just go, here's a space, and here's our flat color, and we'll come over here and go white. We'll go to our brush, and we'll just go, here's a white object of some sort, and then we come up to our second layer and go, hey, let's paint in a shadow on that. And you can just start off, you can go, there's the bottom of it. There's the back of it. There's the back of it right there. And we could keep going. All right, the shadow extends upward like that. And gonna go around the edge there. And we're going to have kind of a specular highlight, and we're going to have that bit there and that bit there. This is kind of creased in. This is kind of darkened up. And you can get this sense of what the shape of the thing is. And I know this is probably like really basic and everybody's going, well, duh, that's how it works. But I'm just kind of fucking around here. And then you can lighten this up using your transparent brush. You use a much wider brush to get a sort of softer feel to it. Go down lower to get into the detail. Go up a little bit higher to get some softer filtering into it. And I've just been kind of messing with this, and I've been doing this sort of thing just in terms of like black and white. I haven't been doing any sort of color studies with this. But come over here and we'll do subtract on that, subtract on that, subtract that. Okay, and then we'll you know what, we'll just do a brand right there. Just like that. Then we'll subtract. Then we'll do our line. Bright white, black color. Boom, boom, boom. Fill that in right there. And then we just come up here to our little shade layer. Flip over to the airbrush and just kind of get some sense of what the form is. Kind of clear up those shadows right there. Darken them up there. And I'm just kind of messing around and getting the basic sense of what it is I'm trying to do here, where I'm trying to have light and shadow. So you can just kind of paint shadow around, and then you can paint light into the places that you want it to be less shadowed. And then you can do a big, broad series of shadows and go, okay, we've got some kind of vertical striping going on here. And then you can tone that down and you can go, okay, let's go very broad and let's lighten that up a bit. And I'm just kind of messing around with this, and I'm not really getting a whole lot of mileage out of it. But I feel like it's giving me some results that look like something, you know. And I've talked about this before, the concept of playing with playing with your tools. And I think that's really important. If I come down here to flat color and just go, here's a space that I want to work in right here. Here's like a silhouette. And then I could come over here to my my selection, and we can go I've got area scaling on. So if I've got area scaling on, then I should be able to do that and deselect, and there shouldn't be any kind of halo. And there indeed isn't. That's good. Oh, I don't have it on the lasso. That's what the issue is. Lasso. So isn't doing it that well. Better do a soft lasso for anti-aliasing. We're going to grab that space, and then we'll use white, the line. You know what? Let's remove that, and we'll go protect alpha on it right now. Just clean that up, and then having done that, we'll now jump into the magic wand, and we'll select just that little space right there. And having selected just that little space right there, I can now come in and go, using my soft airbrush in black, I'm going to use a very large brush to kind of come in here and go okay. So let's kind of give that some form, give it sort of an edge, and then we'll kind of connect it up here. And once we've sort of given it that edge, we're now going to take a much smaller brush, and we're going to go, you know what, let's erase. I've been doing this all in the flat color layer, which is not what I wanted to do. Yeah, I wanted to. Okay, let's come up to our layer 2. Well, we'll go around the edges. We'll go around. We'll go down here and try to sort of erase this border line there. Down along there. And that's actually got a certain sort of highlighted leather feel. That's got kind of a latex sheen to it. If I were to use a if I were to come in and get a little bit hard edged on that. And that looks like kind of burnished leather is how that looks. If we look at that from kind of like a distance, if we delete the selection, actually looks pretty good. I am wondering about this shit here. Like, what is going on with that? I'm gonna have to go into that and clean it up. Look at that. It's substantially smaller, and turn on the Protect Alpha. Just kind of clean that bit up. In fact, let's not let's not use the airbrush. Let's clean this up with this up right in there like that. Now we'll airbrush in, and we'll kind of extend that outward, give it a little bit more of a feel a little more stark as it goes across there. We'll kind of smooth that area out in there. And I'm not getting bad results on this stuff, and I feel like there's progress being made, but it's not progress being made towards a it's not progress being made towards a definite end result picture, and that's kind of frustrating. But there's a learning curve with all of this, and there's just this whole how to make things feel a particular way. And I've been downloading the occasional material from Clip Studio, and that's given me some stuff to play with, but none of it's felt game changing. I picked up another grass brush. I don't know if I'm ever going to use it. Picked up a body hair brush for armpits and other things. But again, don't know if I'm ever going to use it. So the whole thing is that I have been thinking about how to employ a technique that makes stuff look more three-dimensional, and I feel like I'm making progress on it, but I don't know that that progress is particularly useful, or that I'm getting any real good results from it. And one of the things that I'm thinking is that if we start with just like a line, okay? If we have a line between these things, like if I come over to the I come up to the vector layers and I go line art. If I have line art that kind of sits in here, and I go, there's the line that delineates this muscle right here, and there's the line that delineates this one. If I have line art to work with, then that kind of shows me, here's the edge of a silhouette. And given the edge of that silhouette, I can then go in and I can go, here's, you know, my magic wand. And I can go into my flat color and I can go, okay, let's trace along these lines right here. And let's use the add mode on this to make sure we get the whole thing, make sure we get all of the elements. And once I'm satisfied that I've got that, then I can go, okay, down here on my flat color, let's pick a skin tone, and we'll go, yeah, okay, there's a good skin tone right there, so let's fill that in on the flat color, right? Okay, we need to take protect alpha off. So we'll do a skin tone right here. And once we've done a skin tone, well, now we can pick our shadow color. And to pick our shadow color, all we have to do is we take this, we take it a little bit more toward the red layer, and we saturate it a bit, and we darken it a bit. And now once we've got a shadow color, we can flip over to our airbrush and we can go, hey, here's the shadow on that. Here's the shading. And we got some shading that goes underneath of the deltoid, and we got some shading that goes along here. And we can do this fairly wide. And then over here, we don't have as much going on. And then once we've got that, we can now take this and we can go, okay, using our transparent brush, we can kind of clean up the highlight, and then we can go even more red and more saturated, and we can just go very small and kind of brush into the middle there. And I'm not liking the way that looks, but maybe the answer is to go more wide with that reddish color. Maybe I should just be more red from the start. And then that gives us a certain look, and we can jump into the flat color. We turn off that layer and we go, okay, let's sample that color. We'll turn that back on. We go into our lasso tool again, and we go, okay, let's select this area right in here, and we'll go on plain select instead of. We'll select that whole thing right there, like so, and then we'll subtract from that. We'll just go, I want to pull that out, and I want to pull that out. No, not that. I want to pull that out. I want to pull that out. And finally that. Once we've done that, we go back to our line and we just go, okay, we got a plain line. Clean that in right there. And then we go more reddish, more saturated. Airbrush, very wide. And we just kind of on the right layer on this. And kind of get in there and get in there, get around the edge there. take our highlight and go in to kind of clean that up. Go a little more to the orange right there. A little bit broader. And I feel like this is actually giving me some results. And those results, I feel, are actually pretty good. Let's grab that and go to our brush. And then we can go more red, more saturated, darker. Airbrush. And I have once again my shading on the wrong layer. Because I'm an idiot. Nah, it's because I do the same dumb shit everybody does. And that feels like it's actually giving me some meaningful results. And like I have some kind of sensible ability to make things look halfway decent. And I want to play with this more. I want to play with this more and just kind of get a better feel for how this all fits together. And this all kind of revolves around the question of looking at how values work and looking at how different shapes work and how different things work. And as I do this, I start to see little echoes of like other artists I'm familiar with, and that kind of gives me this this sense that if I push in this direction, that I can do the sort of things those artists did if I develop more skill, if I develop more experience in doing this stuff. And I'm in a weird place right now because I feel like I'm way, way far from developing anything remotely like a finished piece. But I also feel like I'm developing an understanding of how to make a thing look like the thing I want it to look like. Does that make any sense? I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but I am kind of pushing in a direction, and I'm feeling more confident and in control of the process of I want to make the thing I see in my head. And I feel like I have kind of an understanding. I imagine a thing and I go, oh, I don't know how to do that. But every once in a while I will imagine a thing and I go, oh, I do know how to do that. And all the I do know how to do that lately has been sort of, you know, I know how to do this little thing, you know, like I know how to do a shadow with a hard edge on one side and a soft edge on the other. And that's a thing. That's an important thing, you know, and knowing how to do these small little bits and pieces, that's useful and that's important, but I'm not I'm not able to put them together very well just yet. And it's because all of the ideas I have are very, very complex. And because they're very complex, I need to know a lot of little things that get put together into the big things. And I'm not very good at breaking down these big things into the small things just yet. But it feels accessible, and I think that's really important. I think it's important to feel like there's progress being made toward your goal, and also that the goal you're working toward is a goal that you can reach. You also have to kind of sort of know what your goal is. And I have these images in my head where I'm just like, I think about it and I go, this is the thing that I want. This is the thing that I want to draw, and I really want to kind of do most of the images that kind of stick in my head these days are violent images. They're gory images. They're images of people that are dismembered and disemboweled and murdered, and these are things that I don't see a whole lot of people putting out there, and kind of the things that I'm thinking along the lines of are I've been watching the Grimm Variations on Netflix, and I've also been reading a lot about anatomy and about like internal anatomy, and I mentioned last week we had an osprey out in the yard. And tore up a possum. So I got pictures of the torn up possum. Nobody is particularly impressed or excited that I have pictures of a torn up possum, but that's I feel like it's cheating to just draw the spilled guts of a murder victim as a shapeless, formless pile. I feel like it should be recognizable. I feel like you should be able to look at it and tell like what the pieces and parts are. And I'm very much somebody that's leaning in kind of a horror direction and a porn direction. So there's going to be sex and death in a very interesting late night telly kind of way, to quote Eddie Izzard. Because those are the subjects that I find interesting. I'm really enjoying the Grimm Variations because they're taking the individual fairy tales and they're turning them on their head. They're making them like a whole different thing. And the first two in particular, they're like, oh, the sweet innocent little girl is not that sweet and innocent after all. And I'm like, yes! Because that's my thing. That is absolutely my thing, is the sweet innocent girl is not so sweet and innocent after all. And then the other thing that they just recently did, the Hansel and Gretel one, I don't want to blow the whistle on what that one is because it's kind of like big twist, but the big twist in that one is weird. It's very weird. I don't know how I feel about that one, but I'm gonna watch the other half of that series probably later on tonight, or later on this morning rather, because it's like almost midnight over here. The most interesting thing to me about stories is the subversion. It's the subversion of expectation. Like, my favorite setup for a story is little girls are in danger and nobody cares. Nobody's doing anything to help them. There is nobody there for them. Where are the adults? Where are their parents? Where are the authorities? Who can they turn to for help? Nobody. Because that's not what you see with like little girls. With like little 6 and 7 and 8 year old girls, there's always somebody there to help them. There's always somebody there to make sure they're taken care of and to make sure they're okay. And then somewhere around the time they're 11 or 12 years old, around the time they develop their boobies, nobody's there for them anymore. It just stops. And people start treating them like just absolute garbage. And they start trashing them and talking shit about them and just generally being nasty to them. And that's like, I mean, that's the real thing that really happens. And I just like pushing the real things that really happen to the extremes. So it's not just that suddenly everybody hates the little girls. It's that suddenly everybody hates the little girls and terrible things are happening to the little girls. And nobody cares. And that's kind of, that's the best setup for a story. And I really like to then turn around and have the little girls go, you know what, fuck this. We're gonna do our thing and take care of ourselves, and we're gonna be strong, and we're going to protect one another and look after one another. If nobody else is gonna look after the little girls are gonna look after themselves. And I love that. And I do love kind of dragging the protagonist through the depths of despair. So I love like Magical Girl Sight and just the nastiness of it is so over the top. You know, it's like, it's not like Madoka Magica where, you know, there's this hopeful ending to it. The ending of it has hope and there's something of a happy ending to Madoka Magica. It doesn't feel like there will be, but then there is. And I kind of like the notion of there's no happy ending. You're gonna be okay, but it's gonna be tough, and things are gonna be awful the whole time. I feel like that accurately reflects reality. Like you're gonna live, but it's gonna hurt. And that, I think, is a really, really important thing for people to understand about life. The other thing I really like, another kind of story element that I like messing with, is we've met the enemy and it is us. So the little girls are in trouble and nobody will save them. They have to take care of themselves. That's a good story setup. And I really love the next phase of the story setup to be, as it is in Magical Girl Sight, the danger to the little girls is other little girls. I like that. I liked that in the Zodiac Wars. Zodiac Wars was really good. So kind of this sort of story structure and this kind of thing where, you know, once upon a time there were some little girls and everybody loved them and they were so cute and they were so wonderful. And then one day, nobody liked them anymore. Nobody thought they were cute. Nobody thought that they were precious and adorable anymore. Everybody just hated them for no good reason. And now terrible things are happening to the little girls because the little girls are fighting among themselves and they're killing each other. And that's my idea of a good setup to a series or to a storyline. And I like the kind of perpetually serialized story where it's like, and things were okay again for now. And then, like, you know, next week everything's going to be awful again in like a whole different way. The Walking Dead kind of did that, but they did it in a really kind of boring and stupid way. And also it was always like grown-ups. I expect grown-ups to be able to take care of themselves. There's no fist pump moment when a grown man goes, I've figured out how to start the generator. But when a 9-year-old girl figures out how to start the generator, that's a fist pump moment. Yeah! Good for you! You figured it out. You've never seen a generator in your life and you figured it out. And you got some guy who's like owns a truck and used to work in a factory. He's like, oh, we got to start the generator. Oh, great. Yeah, that's got to be tough. So it's, you know, that sort of thing, it's not as interesting when it's adults. You know, when it's kids, they're at more of a disadvantage, and there's such an injustice to it. There's this tremendous injustice to children are in trouble and nobody cares. And the injustice of it, the indignation of seeing this unjust scenario where the children are in trouble and nobody cares, that gets me invested like nothing else. And I like intensity. I like extremity. So, you know, it's like I want to see the girls chopped up and torn open and their guts thrown around the room and blood spraying everywhere. That's the kind of thing I like, yeah, fist pump moment. Because that ups the stakes and that shows you, you know, the little girls, they have to fight. They have to take care of themselves. And the best way to get both of those things, where you're like, the little girls have to fight and take care of themselves, and little girls are being chopped up and torn open and their guts thrown around the room, is if it's little girls fighting little girls. I also like showing the ferocity of children. Children are more dangerous than people realize. A lot more dangerous. And I don't know. I don't feel like I'm the only person that's gone into this. I feel like Stephen King explores it a lot. Like Children of the Corn is very much this kind of thing. I guess kind of what I want to do is there needs to be a sort of mythology to an artist's work, I think. I think when an artist does their work, there ought to be a certain sense of like what world this is taking place in. And I kind of envision this sort of three-way trinity of Madoka Magica and Children of the Corn and Hellraiser. It's like, what if the Cenobites were little girls? That's an interesting question. I want to see that question explored more. I don't know. I think it would be more popular if it was a question of what if the Cenobites were teenage girls. I feel like that has more appeal to it. And what if the Cenobites were older teenage girls and all characters in this work are over 18 and it goes straight into porn territory? I think that has even more market appeal and will tend to grow a larger fan base. I think it'll also make a lot of people mad, but I don't give a shit if I make people mad. Yeah. Anyway, that's mostly just me kind of musing about stuff. There's a semi-Lovecraftian ideal to how I want to construct this world, and it's like I kind of want to do. I want to go back to this sort of classical thing where I want it to be like the early 1900s, the 1910s, the 1920s. I want the general feel of it to feel like something old, to feel like Lovecraft and Dunsany and Byron and Machen. But I haven't really completed that notion. I also have this recurrent kind of sense where I just sit there and I go, if you take Junji Ito's Tomie and you just pull it into the most extreme territory, if instead of just the kind of semi-overt violence that it includes, what if it was like hardcore gore, and instead of cute romantic things where she's like flirting with guys, what if it was just straight up porn? What if Tomie was Eroguro? I think that has huge potential. I really want to explore that. I've been thinking about a storyline that seems to work with that, but I haven't gotten that far with it. Anyway, we are closing up on an hour. Do a little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all of that happy horse shit. And that's where things are sitting. I don't know how good this stream was, but it was a stream. Okay, bye.